One simple mistake cost my Amazon business $5,000. In this video, I'm going to show you the exact mistake I made. I'm also going to show you some mistakes that I see a lot of other beginner Amazon sellers make that cost them thousands as well. So this is going to be a super important video for anyone looking to get an honest look at what selling on Amazon is like. But at the end, I'm going to show you what a potential good product to sell on Amazon looks like so you can go out and find more great items to sell for yourself. So when I first started buying big name brand products to resell in my Amazon business, I had just come from used books and I didn't really understand what to look for. And if you're a brand new Amazon seller, I can almost guarantee that this would trip you up as well. So I'm going to show you what this item looks like. Basically the exact same scenario as what's going on in this item. Let's say you can buy this for 29 bucks. It sells for $58. Seems like a great item overall, right? You can make 10 bucks selling it, but there's a problem that we can see as we check out the Keepa chart down here, or when we check out the buy box statistics on SellerAmp. So some of you smarter sellers probably already see the issue with this item, but as a new seller, I did not understand how the buy box on Amazon works. And if you don't know what the buy box is, it's basically just the fancy word for this add to cart button here. I can almost guarantee that if you buy on Amazon, you've bought pretty much everything through this button. And when it comes to selling on Amazon, pretty much the only thing that matters is winning the buy box. So being the seller who's on the add to cart button. And typically on most Amazon listings, all you have to do to win the buy box is be at the same price and at the same fulfillment speed as some of the other sellers on the listing. But there are some examples like this where you can see, according to SellerAmp here, we can see there's 34 sellers on the listing currently, but as of recently, there's only been about 4 or 5 sellers who have even made any sales. And in the last 30 days, you can see it's even a little bit smaller, right? So maybe even 4 sellers here, including Amazon and including the brand themselves that's selling this product. That's another red flag, is you don't typically want to be competing with storefronts that are hogging an artificial amount of sales on a listing. This was something that I did not understand. And so I bought a product. I bought about $5,000 worth of kitchen knives. The buy box looked exactly like this. In fact, it was even worse, where the major seller on the listing was winning about 90 to 95% of the sales. And I just could not get any sales as a new Amazon seller. So very, very rarely is that going to be an issue, but I was not aware of this. And so I want you to be aware of this as well as you start thinking about selling on Amazon. It's very, very important to make sure that you can win buy box rotation, right? So this is another example here I want to show you. Another example of where Amazon themselves is going to hog sales on a listing. So we can go ahead and check out this item. We can see that Amazon has won about 90% of the buy box recently, even though there are other sellers who have been at the same price. You can see $11.97, even a little bit cheaper than Amazon was, right? So $11.88. So in some of these examples, they even had to go under what Amazon's price was, and Amazon is still getting more sales than them. It's Amazon's playground. It's well within their rights if they want to hog some of the sales on these listings. Luckily, there are hundreds of thousands of other good, profitable listings that don't look like this, right? So this is what the listings that you want to be selling on look like, right? So I pull up an example of just like a Nike shoe, a very classic example of products that are extremely arbitrageable. So we can buy them from big name brand websites and flip them on Amazon. And so on the SellerAmp buy box statistics right here, we can see a big, massive, colorful wheel full of tons of sellers, everyone from veteran Amazon sellers to people like you who might be watching this video trying to make your first sale, getting on this listing, immediately being able to make sales. And another really cool feature here is you can filter by last one. So if you're ever unsure if you're actually going to win sales or not, we can see just now this seller made sales. A couple hours ago, there wasn't even a buy box. So just basically anyone had like kind of the lowest prices, fastest fulfillment speeds. The customers are picking themselves when it says suppressed, by the way. So if you ever see that, don't be scared of the listing. You can sell listings that have a suppressed buy box. See 2 days ago. And as we go down the list, there's tons of different sellers basically every day making sales. And I would assume a lot of these people are just sold out. Would be kind of the big reason why they are not making sales anymore. And so looking at the buy box statistics was super crucial. Now that you have that information, you're going to be able to avoid that $5,000 mistake that I made. But I also want to show you some other things that can lead to $5,000, $10,000, or even $100,000 mistakes if you're not playing your cards right. So I want to go ahead and show you an example of this listing right here. So if you can spot the issue on this, amazing. You're probably going to crush it on Amazon. But this is one of the biggest reasons why some Amazon sellers have been getting suspended recently. So we can look at this listing here and notice that the proper brand is clearly this Rise branded coffee here. But when we look at the Amazon listing here, we can see that the brand is Express Commerce. If it doesn't show on the actual Amazon listing, you can see it'll also always show up on SellerAmp there. So you can say buy Express Commerce. That is just objectively not the brand that's being sold here, right? It's very clearly this Rise brand. So if you're ever seeing a product where the actual product brand name does not match what Amazon thinks is the brand name, it means it was a listing that was created by a third party. These are typically not authorized by the brands themselves. And if you sell on this listing, you open yourselves up to a whole world of complaints and even copyright infringement, right? So it's relatively easy to stay within the lines on Amazon. So you can see like these Nike shoes right here. here, it says Nike. That's perfect. We got lots of sellers on it. So it passes both of those tests that we were just talking about already, right? So if you ever see this case, that is a huge red flag, and you need to be avoiding listings like this. Another very big example, and another reason why some sellers have been getting suspended who aren't paying close attention, is if the brand says generic. There's a ton of listings that say brand generic. It means it's just kind of thrown into a bucket, a catch-all of a bunch of random products. And again, those are usually not authorized by the brand. And so it can lead to some IP complaints, counterfeit complaints, or even copyright infringement claims directly against your company. And those are things that you obviously don't want. So usually it's a pretty simple check. Is the brand name correct? Yes. All right, I'm going to pull the trigger, right? So that's another thing that's going to be able to save you a ton of money in mistakes. Before we check out these next couple cases here, I also want to go ahead and put you on to the best free resource in the industry. I've gone ahead and thrown together a few hours of content, some downloadable guides, PDFs, a list of over 1,800 ASINs that you can use to get auto-ungated in different brands, as well as our free Discord community of over 50,000 sellers. So you can hop in there, ask some questions, start making some friends in the community. And this is completely free. Go ahead and check it out in the description down below. And let's keep on heading on here. So this is another classic example of a listing where you're going to be able to save yourself a world of hurt, right? So if you ever come across a product that looks like this, where we can see right now the sales rank is up at like 220K. There's currently no one on the listing, and there's a really good reason for this. You might also see some examples where maybe there's one seller left or two sellers left. And what's happened here is, a few weeks ago, there was 18 sellers on this listing, and then boom, overnight, they all disappeared and they all got kicked off this listing. So what this typically means is the brand themselves is monitoring these listings, and they don't want to be allowing third-party unauthorized sellers. So this is another one of those super quick things that you can check on your products. Whenever you're about to pull the trigger on something, check the charts on SellerAmp. And if you ever see a big, massive drop off in the number of sellers that were on a product, typically that means that the brand was given IP complaints to all the third-party sellers on the listing, right? So if you see that, another good thing you can kind of plug it into is Seller Journal Greenlight. This is basically a free website. And let's say you want to sell a product like Kong, right? So it's a pretty popular like dog treat brand. When you plug in these brand names here, if you're brand new to Amazon, it's just like a nice way to increase your confidence in buying a certain product. And in this example, we can see that the brand is well known for taking legal actions, avoid at all costs. So it's just kind of a quick check to do whenever you're buying an item. Make sure you don't see a big drop off in the number of sellers on a listing just for no reason, and make sure it's not on a free database. Like you can also use paid tools like IP Alert that embed on your page. I've got a discount code for you down below if you want to check that out. But on the other side of that, I want to show you an example of a listing that saw a massive decrease in the number of sellers. So you can see right here, way less sellers as we increased over time, but there was a reason for it, right? So the price started shooting up, the sales rank started dipping a little bit down. You can see it got more popular here for a bit as it got closer to one sales rank, and then individual sellers started falling off the listing. So that's very different from something like this, where we can see all the sellers got kicked off all at once. A listing like this is just a classic example of this item getting more popular, selling out, the prices going up, and then the sellers were just having a hard time staying in stock, right? So if you ever see a listing like this is amazing. These can be great ways to find tons of profit, especially if you can buy it, get it into your hands, and then merchant fulfill the product before other people can ship it off to Amazon. You're going to be way faster to market, and you're going to be able to kind of stock up, make some money on these products faster than anyone else can. So that's kind of what you want to be looking for in terms of a steep drop off in the number of sellers. You want to be staying away from huge cliffs like this. And so like I said at the beginning, I also want to show you a quick example of winning products, right? So I don't want this to scare you away from taking Amazon seriously. If that $5,000 mistake had scared me away from Amazon, I would have been about $2 to $3 million in sales poorer. And so I don't want that for you, right? I want this to be educational for you. Don't let this scare you away. Don't let it be an excuse for you to not change your life, right? So this product right here, just a super quick example that we found the other day. Sell them for $100. They're on sale. We can get a couple extra % off through Rakuten in terms of cash back. And then over here on Amazon, the exact same product is selling for about $186. So when we plug in that $100 buy cost right there, SellerAmp is telling us that we're going to make about $50 in profit every single time this item sells, which is obviously awesome. And these are the types of products that you want to be looking out for, right? So now that you have kind of a super quick example of a winning item, we can also see down here on the charts that there's no real funny business going on. A couple more sellers recently. The price has been very consistent. We can see several different sellers winning the buy box here. A couple of these guys making a little bit, a couple of these guys making a lot of sales. But to me, this just looks more like, these sellers didn't have a ton in stock, or they just weren't priced competitively. So for example, right now, this guy right there, he's got a couple % of the buy box recently. His price is just several dollars more expensive than the current buy box, and that's why he's not winning sales. The big red flag that we were talking about with buy box is when people are at the same price, same fulfillment speed. So FBA, those are same fulfillment speeds. If they were at the same price and that top guy was hogging sales for no reason, that would be kind of a red flag for me, right? So now that we have a winning product, all we have to do to find more winning products is just start diving into the different storefronts here, and using SellerAmp, we can easily see see what types of products they're selling. We can also see the top 5 offers on each of these listings. So if you're ever curious, the only thing that has to happen is one seller who's too cheap to go away for it to be profitable. Something like this where they've got 95 in stock, $160 is probably a pretty firm price on it, right? Something like this where they've only got 3 left in stock, seems like there's a good shot we might be able to think about selling this for 193, maybe even up to 200 if those people sell out. And this is also really useful if you're a brand new seller, just to get an idea for what other successful sellers are doing. And then you just go ahead and click the Google button. It's going to search that shoe for you. And then from there, it's your job to dive into these listings, see what you can find, and try to find some potential winning products. So I hope this video helps save you some money as you're starting your Amazon business. If you guys do have any questions or comments about what we talked about today, feel free to drop those down below. Always happy to answer those for you. Also, go ahead and like, subscribe, all that good stuff helps me out with the YouTube algorithm if you don't mind taking care of that. But I really appreciate you guys watching this video, and I will see you next time.